All right, welcome back to Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. I am joined by the people's quarterback, QB1 for this podcast, and in my quarterback book, Danny Alfaro. The Aggies are back in the win column, and probably boarding the plane right now to head back from Moscow. What a game it was, and we want to bring you our fresh reactions after 30 minutes or so after the game concluded. So let's start there and start with you, Danny. Just your top level reactions to the Aggies' victory in Moscow.
I was excited to see how they came out the gate, right? We were all pretty down last week when they came up short against the Bengals, and I think the way they came out early and just were dicing them up, they looked crisp, they looked disciplined, they were firing on all cylinders, and it seemed like, I'm guessing because I don't know the exact play calls or whatnot, but I think Plow went back to some bread and butter. They were going to Sam Gbatu Jr. a lot early, and that was working for him. They were feeding Jay Fish. They were getting Ian Simpson the ball. It seemed like, more quick hitting, ball control, like get the ball out of Caden's hands type stuff. And it was working. There wasn't too many incompletes or negative plays or any of that. And so it was cool to see him come out, go down, defensive stop early, and then go down, score pretty effortlessly, in my opinion, and then come up with another defensive stop. The second drive, Idaho had a little bit more progress, but the defense bucked up and stopped them, and then went down again. And Ian Simpson Supermaned into the end zone, which was fun to see. And so I just thought they got out of the gates really early, not messing around. Probably wanted to come out, punch them in the mouth. Everybody's fired up from last week to really avenge, what probably caused a lot of frustration for a lot of guys. And so it was good to see. And then I thought it was a great first half. So I thought that was my initial reaction. I thought we got out ahead, and it allowed to just withstand some less crispness in the second half, right? And not quite as dialed in the second half. And the score is a lot closer than that game was, for sure.
Right.
Could have been 35-42-14 easy. Just with the kicking game, there's 9 points probably not on the board there at minimum, if you're generous towards Idaho. So I thought it was a good game. I thought it was great to get back in the win column. They didn't look past Idaho towards the Bobcats. They focused right on where they needed to be. And, it's one game at a time, one win at a time. And, the chips are going to fall how they fall. So big win and pretty business-like road trip, all in all.
We've got a new home for Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. Visit AggiePridePodcast.com. It's the hub for everything. All our episodes, ways to subscribe for early access, and our brand new Aggie Pride classic hats in navy or beige. While you're there, sign up so you never miss an update, and follow us on all our socials for game day content, throwbacks, and behind the scenes. And don't forget, like, follow, and share the pod so we can keep growing the Aggie fan community.
Bank like a champion when you bank with University Credit Union. UCU is the official credit union of UC Davis and is committed to giving every UC Davis student, faculty, staff, and alum a financial advantage. From low loan rates and financial coaching to high savings rates, including our new Elite Certificate Special, University Credit Union helps you reach your financial goals. Visit ucu.org for details. Use promo code AggiePridePodcast to get started. University Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
With over 55 years of experience helping families and businesses navigate life's legal twists and turns, the law firm of Bold, Posner, Maddow, Nelson, and Judson is a proud partner of the Aggie Pride podcast. Whether you're starting a family, managing your assets, or facing the loss of a loved one, BPMNJ is there to guide you through some of life's toughest transitions with clarity, compassion, and care. They assist clients with estate planning and also support families dealing with incapacity, elder law, probate and trust administration, conservatorships, and civil litigation. The firm is managed by Craig Judson and his son, Scott Judson, former Aggie Pack MC and past president of the Cal Aggie Alumni Association. With offices in Walnut Creek and Sacramento, BPMNJ serves clients throughout California, bringing trusted legal guidance wherever it's needed. And here's something special for our listeners. Mention this podcast when you book your free consultation at bpmnj.com, and you'll receive $500 off a comprehensive estate plan. Bold, Posner, Maddow, Nelson, and Judson, powered by Aggie Pride.
Celebrate National Career Development Month with the Cal Aggie Alumni Association. Throughout November, CAAA hosts a variety of events to help elevate your career and grow your Aggie network. Learn more by visiting alumni.ucdavis.edu/events.
Yeah, I think that's it. The business trip to Moscow. This is what we talked about last week, right? Like, all eyes on Moscow. How is this team going to respond to dropping, let's be honest, like a game that we, all respect to Idaho State, but a game that, if we take care of our stuff, we win, because we didn't take care of our stuff and we lost by 2. So everyone, not just us, but around the country, is looking at this game, the Big Sky game of the week, with a lot of significance for both teams, with regards to, interest in the playoffs, and I'd say more so for us. But so everyone's looking at this. We talked about it. How are they going to respond? We talked about, our confidence in Plow and the coaching staff and the players, to take that loss on the chin and turn it into motivation, right? And discipline and execution. And like you said, we saw that in the first half, and throughout. I mean, it wasn't quite a tale of two halves in the most stark way, but it was a different dynamic in the second half. My reaction is that we are back to, the win and learn mentality, because there was a handful of things in this game, right, that you want back, areas we need to continue to tighten up as we look ahead to Bozeman and beyond. But I listened to a lot of different podcasts this last week, and a lot of people picked Idaho in this game. And so, it's great to be proven right in what we thought would happen, is that this team has what it takes. They're going to turn right back around and get the job done. So that was great. Like you said, the first half, a lot of things were clicking. Looking at both offense and defense, and want to come back to you to kind of get more analysis around what you saw, holistically when you think about the offense's performance. But looking at offense, defense, special teams at this game, high level, there were really, really bright spots on offense. Some spots that, are probably areas to improve our consistency throughout different situations in the game. Special teams, there were bright spots, right? A punt down to the 1 yard line. There was some really great stuff on special teams, and then to get a blocked kick and then miss a field goal. But on defense, my headline is really being happy with how the defense played tonight overall. Obviously holding the Vandals to 14 points, and spending a lot of time on the field and forcing key turnovers as well. So I'm really, really happy with how the defense performed. I have, joy that the offense did enough for us to win, but have high expectations and areas we can improve. But want to hear a bit more from you, of like looking at the offense in particular. What stood out, looking at the whole game, any individual performances, any different schemes that you saw, and different approaches that Plow and Shelton took throughout the game?
I think, I texted you guys, like the bang post to Gbatu was just money all game, right? Like if they're probably teams are going to give Gbatu a ton of respect. They're going to play him at 8, 10, 12 yards cushion, right? Which means, and they're probably not going to, they might be on an outside leverage, right? And Caden's so accurate, right? Just 8 yards, put your right foot in the ground and break it off, and then it's right on him. So it's almost indefensible if there's not a safety down to break on it. And they probably threw it 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And it was like a automatic 8, 10 yards. So that was a fun play to watch over and over and over again. I loved the middle screen to Ian Simpson, right? Like we used to bread and butter with Coach Biggs was screens all over the place, and those are some of my favorite play calls to just reminisce with Plow about, is just the different types of screens we used to have. So that was a fun play call to see, and he put some finishing touches on it to dive in and somersault into the end zone. They were doing a lot, and they were trying to spread the ball around. They got it to Dobbins. 3 different guys caught touchdowns. So Gbatu got a touchdown, Ian got a touchdown, Stacy got a touchdown, and then Caden, got one with his legs, which was a fun play to watch. So I just, it was a lot of fun to watch those guys play fast, play loose. It didn't seem, not a lot of indecision from Caden tonight. It was, if his first read's there, second read, and then get out, and he was making moves with his plays, being really smart about it. So not a lot to complain about. I think there was some, stalled drives and stuff like that. And I think, we talk about win and learn, and we have such high hopes and such a high bar. We know that it's almost like when they don't go down and score a touchdown, we're disappointed a little bit, which isn't a fair standard to have at all. But, we're kind of, you and I think when we talk about win and learn is just like we're waiting for them to play the perfect game, right? And,
That's
the
it.
only thing optimistically is that perfect game comes next Saturday, when it's 40 degrees out and we're still, the high potent, high powered Davis offense next week. And so, but not every play call is going to work. I didn't see a lot of things I disagreed with, or just like questionable things. I just think sometimes, I like the second and short or whatever it was, where you take a shot or you come off a turnover, you take a shot to the end zone, and he threw it up, and that was kind of a jump ball type of scenario that resulted in a pick on that one. And Idaho did that to us a couple times. I didn't really feel threatened by Idaho's offense at all, really. I thought both of their touchdowns were kind of those 50-50 jump ball type things. And if your head's not on the swivel to go find the ball at its high point, like sometimes they come down with it. I thought the first one, actually, what do you think about this? I thought the first one was the offensive PI a little bit. He did have his arms out. Maybe that's me being a homer. I don't know. But
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that the O played good. I think 28 points is a little light. It's at least 9 points. The miss look, the field goal looked like it went over the upright to me, but the refs are right under that. So it was, a 50-50 type thing there. And then the block, he nailed it on the first try when they iced him. And then it kind of looked like it was either a bobbled snap or just not quite the perfect hold, and maybe it came out low. So that stuff happens.
Yeah.
And then it was tough to see him go down to get down to the 1, and then go backwards, right? So if there's any times where we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit, it was that. And then Caden's tried to make a play, put something together out of nothing, and that didn't work out. So, that's where I come up with that 9 points at minimum that we don't have, and it's probably a little bit more if we score on that 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 that we had down there.
Yeah, because I think we were at the 3, we were at the 1, we were at the 5, the 9. One of those plays was actually a great run play, and I think it's Fish like squirts through and scores, and then it comes back. So to me, it's like, yeah, I think 9 minimum, maybe 13. But yeah, I mean, I think what you said about the bang post was there. You know, they did this other play that kind of they roll Caden out to the left and then he throws back to the right and finds Gbatu coming across, kind of mid depth. They ran that like 3 or 4 times too, and it was money every time. And so I think that's good to have. I mean, and we know like Caden's first year or his first year playing, part of the coaching dynamic is finding what are the things that you can come back to, and that's obviously a reaction to the defense. But just as you're drawing up plays for your quarterback, and then I mean, this guy just surprises us in the best ways every time we see him play. Obviously, going to make mistakes, and so I think we saw a bit of like the learning, and I think I said like carrying on the Star Wars motif, like the young Padawan is going to continue learning as he becomes a Jedi, right? But like he's obviously in the Jedi Academy. So talk a little bit about what you saw from Caden Pinnick tonight.
I just think I mentioned it either last week or the week before, but it just looked like he processes everything so quickly that it looks like he's playing in slow motion a little bit. And that roll left play, but then, get his body around and then throw back. That's a dangerous play, with any other quarterback other than like Mahomes and guys that are just like freaks. And the fact that Plow has the trust in him to go, throw back kind of across the field a little bit, when the first one, like there was a backer that was coming towards there and he fit it right in. And so, just he's playing well. And like, I think he was 21 of 28 or 21 of 29. And early on he was just, high percentage. And so, I thought today was just, there was less of the wow crazy plays, right? He scored on a touchdown, but he threw 2 picks. I don't know that that's giving me a ton of heartburn, right? But I just thought it was kind of like a good game, right? Like you want him to play comfortable, to be decisive. He was super decisive throughout the game, and that's what you want. And getting the ball to the right guys, like 7 different guys caught passes, which is awesome for us. I think that just keeps the defense honest, right? They can't key off on Gbatu if they want to, because we can get the ball to Ian, we can get the ball to Stacy, we can get the ball to Jay Fish, whoever. And they were doing a lot of side to side misdirection stuff, right? I think Sam did a couple end arounds, a couple fly sweeps. So I think there was a big focus to get the ball in our speedsters and our weapons' hands and let them go make plays, and they did. So I thought Caden did what he was asked to do today. Nothing special, nothing egregious, just like a really workman-like type of game. Let's go get the dub. Let's go get out of here, and let's go prep for the Bobcats.
Yeah, Caden Pinnick, 21 of 27, 248 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 rushing touchdown, and 40 yards on the ground.
Man, if that's like a ho-hum average type game for him, like we're gonna have as many years as he stays at Davis and plays for us, like we're gonna have a lot of fun, Dwight.
Yeah, no, the room is bright now, and the future is even brighter. So Absolutely. it's all upside, and I agree with your take on Caden, and I think like you can tell like having played, having coached a little bit, I can get a sense of what the moments are. Some of the moments, not all of them, but some of the moments that are going to be those real teach tapes. And I think that second pick will be a really good teach tape. I mean, you kind of have to learn that, and you can speak to this way better than I, but like that robber kind of sinking backer. And there's also this question that also feels like a learning thing, and want to get your perspective on it too. And then we should talk about Blue Force. But when you have a guy like Gbatu, and obviously we spread the ball around, but Gbatu, had 7 receptions, 110 yards. Ian had 5, and then Dobbins 4, and then 1-1-1-2, right? So Gbatu, a special target. Later in the game, as in second half, defense adjusts, right? Gbatu has a huge first half. Start to think about different coverage options, doubles, sink on that side. As a quarterback, it seems like another learning curve to go from A to A plus for Pinnick is like getting too focused on on Dobbins and I don't, or on Gbatu, and I don't think it's like an egregious thing at all, but just thinking about that and like how you, as just a player in the game, like you have a connection going with a certain guy. How do you coach that up? Like what do you imagine is happening in the room when we look back at that play and thinking about, hey, were we trying to force it to Gbatu there, or was that just like, hey, we got to be aware of where guys are dropping and have better vision?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch that play because it did occur to me watching it and seeing the replay that it was like a deeper post, and it did seem to be like a bracket coverage with the safety over the top, and the DB was behind him, and then the backer that dropped into the curl area was there. So there was like, it was crowded, right? And it wasn't a situation where we needed to have it, right? Like we were in our own zone. We stay there. Was that the drive where we went backwards on the personal foul with where the guy flopped? Anyways, it doesn't matter.
It might have been.
But anyways, so no, it wasn't, because it was an interception. Sorry about that. But yeah, so like there was 3 guys dropping and he went to it anyway. I'd have to go back and watch to see if there was like a guy in the flat or a check or something like that. And so that'll be a learning experience, right? I think just like last week's last play of the game on that interception, live, it felt like he was, almost there, like just enough, almost to have just the perfect touch to go over the guy and under the safety. But then I don't know if it was you or somebody else told me like there was a guy crossing over the middle that was wide open. And, in the situational scenario that it was last week, if he goes to that guy and gets up 5 yards, maybe there's a field goal there. So just it will be a learning thing. And in this one, it's like, hey, we got the lead. We're trying to preserve the lead. We're not trying to get greedy there. We're not trying to be safe. We're not trying to be ultra conservative and then play tight. But don't force it if it's not there. Come back to your check down, or go make a play with your legs, which you did all day. So that's one of those things that you and I probably aren't going to tell while we're watching it or go back, because
right
they're going to grade that out and they're going to tell them like, I wish you would have held that or gone to your check or gone out of the pocket or thrown it away or whatnot. So
and we know he's in the best of hands with Plow and with Shelton, and want to be a fly on the wall for those meetings. I remember those, man. I remember those. I miss them.
Yeah, me too.
I miss the review of the game before you let it go and move on to the next week. There's something really special about that process. 2 more quick notes on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, folks would have noticed we didn't see number 1 on the offensive side of the ball, so no Carter Vargas this week. Jay Fish carried the ball the bulk of the time, 21 carries for 103 yards. Kaya Sia got in there a bit and looked really great. 4 carries for 16 yards. But that changes yet again, a different, like having to figure out how to put the Millennium Falcon together, right? Like, it's just, you got this guy who can run like no one else runs, and can be a pass catching threat as well. And so I think that's part of why we saw Gbatu get some carries, some of those kind of fly sweep deals. Dobbins as well. But again, like overall, we ran for 200 yards, and so that's really great to see that even in a pinch without Vargas, we're able to still get the ball to our weapons, still produce on the offensive side. I was curious about, so after that pick, right? I think we forced, I forget if they went down and scored, but I think we got the ball back. And then I think we ran it 3 times in a row and went 3 and out. Hindsight's, I'm not the coach, there's a whole game plan, there's thinking around that. I think there was like 9 or 10 minutes left in the game at that point. I would have loved to see like a confidence kind of throw for Caden on one of those plays, whether it's just a hitch or, he doesn't need that. I think he could have just jumped right back into what he was doing. But that was interesting because then that started the whole process of them driving down to potentially cut it to a 1-score lead, which they did not. But curious, like if you had any thoughts about that sequence of the quick 3 runs and 3 and out.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Next Level Sports, delivering the best youth sports experience. If you have a young, aspiring athlete in 1st through 7th grade, this is your chance to get on the field with Next Level flag football at UC Davis. All teams are coached by a current UC Davis Aggies football player, giving kids real mentorship from the same student athletes who practice and play on the same field within the Aggies football program. All activity takes place at UC Davis Health Stadium, so you get the full game day experience every week. Whether your participant is brand new to the sport or already obsessed with football, Next Level focuses on skill building, teamwork, and growth. It's an incredible way to build confidence, make friends, and learn from true role models. Registration for the 2026 Next Level Spring Flag Football and Winter Volleyball seasons at UC Davis are now open. Spots are going fast, so sign up today at nextlevelsports.com. Give your athlete the best youth sports experience.
This episode is sponsored by the Larison Real Estate Team, Bob and Jan Larison. You already know the name. They've been incredible supporters of UC Davis football, this podcast, and of course, they're Land's parents, now cheering him on as he suits up for the New England Patriots. Off the field, Bob and Jan are one of the top real estate teams in the region, helping folks buy and sell across Idaho and Eastern Oregon. Whether it's a home, land, or investment property, they bring experience, hustle, and heart to every deal. So if you're looking to make a move or just want honest guidance, check out LarisonTeam.com or follow them on Instagram at Larison Real Estate. Huge thanks to Bob and Jan for backing Aggie Pride. The Aggie Football Fund provides essential gap funding for the UC Davis football program, empowering the team to access vital resources for player development and program success. It also reconnects and engages former football alumni to maintain the legacy of Aggie Pride and perpetuity. Through direct and flexible support, the AFF bridges funding gaps while fostering a thriving alumni community. Visit AggieFootballFund.com for more information.
Yeah, I try not to your point, like us not being in there and thinking what they were thinking and being on the headset between Plow and Coach Shelton, like they might have had like some really good calls that they were trying to gash them on and keep the clock churning and stuff like that. And so, there's probably stuff that they would second guess themselves on. But yeah, there was a little bit. I sense the same thing that you were talking about, which is that we weren't in prevent, right? Like, but we were in trying to like get the clock running and make the game go by faster, which makes sense, right? We don't want to throw it every down and get the clock stopping and just give them more opportunities to get some more points. But yeah, I don't know that I have a lot to add on that one.
Yeah, it's just a bigger question about, playing with the lead, and
Yeah.
what does that look like depending on where we're at in the game? And like you said, I think one of those runs was 5-6 yards. The other two didn't work out, and that can just be timing. That can be, one block not being there or someone making a play on defense. But
sure.
this idea of like, how do we play with the lead? And a lot of great notes on that today, because the defense, to shift over to Blue Force,
Right.
played really, really well. We've got Jacob Sack-Syke and Karad and the guys like wreaking havoc, especially in the first half. And you got Cofield coming back in, gets that tough 50-50 ball, but had a bunch of other really clutch pass breakups and great defensive plays on some really solid and big receivers. And then you have the huge kind of win sealing pick by Captain Jayden Stanley, just to name a few moments on defense. But what were your overall thoughts on Blue Force tonight?
I thought they've had such a consistent season. I don't want to talk about injuries anymore, right? Because we just know that happened, right? But even with the changing of the guys that are out there making plays, like they showed tonight, they stopped the drive early. I don't know if it was 3 and out, but they held strong early and gave the ball back to the offense. We go down and score. Idaho goes on a little bit of a drive on the second drive, and they get a stop. And there was pressure. They were making the quarterback run around a lot. They were almost getting to him a bunch of times, and they did get to him for some sacks. Almost another sack fumble that we didn't recover, but almost another one. Syke almost has a PBU and a pick six, essentially.
Yeah.
Almost. I know that's going to eat him up, man, because he almost had it.
Well, I wasn't sure if Karad, because he and Karad were going for it. Like Karad,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they came out the field and they're like, bro, like,
Right.
I don't know what happened there, but it was almost even more legendary than it was. Like, just getting the hand up there, that was huge in and of itself.
Yeah. But the DBs, like the whole secondary, Cole Batson had a good game. Kalani Riddick had a good game. Jayden Stanley had a good game. Drew Cofield had a good game. Number 3, I forget his name, but he had a good game too. Like, he was in there. They're all playing aggressive. Like, I like I always like the mentality for DBs to go get physical and make the refs throw the flag, because sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll eat it. And some of those big plays that they threw to number 1, who seemed to average 50 yards a catch or whatnot, were
Right.
They threw it up and just it was a 50-50 ball that he came down with. So I didn't feel like that was bad play. I thought they were in the area, and just sometimes the offense has the advantage, right? You and I know that. And so you're always trying to be in and around the play, and get your hand up, or the QB underthrew it on the wheel route to the running back, and it hit our linebacker's helmet. So just, you want to be nearby to make it harder for those guys to make the play. And that was kind of the whole story of the game. And so every single game, I think Blue Force has done an amazing job of creating turnovers, getting stops when we need to. If the offense has I think on one of Caden's interceptions, the D went back and got him the ball back.
Yeah.
Right. As texting
Third
Kyle
quarter.
Ike and Bispo and Jeff Fucci, the D picked up Caden. He had a pick, and then the D just gave the ball right back. So that's kind of been the story that I have for Blue Force all season, is they've picked up the team in crucial moments, to not turn Aggie offensive turnovers into the opponent's team points. They've bend but not break, and get the ball back. So I've been super impressed, man. Super impressed.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It was, to hold folks in the Big Sky to 14, that's generally going to be a winning situation. And so it gives me a lot of optimism as we look ahead. But thinking about this game, there's so many guys, as I think about players of the game. Gbatu has continually kind of put up numbers. I think this is his third or fourth 100-yard game. Caden continues to do his thing. But I got to give my player of the game to Jayden Stanley. Just that captain. I mean, I think he got banged up in the second half as well. I was like, is he going to be okay? Or do we have someone to come in for him? And he bucks up and gets back out there, and then ends up, reading that pass and picking it and getting all the way to the other end zone. And we don't have to talk about why that's not 35 on the board. But yeah, that's just such a reminded me of some of the picks last year that were just like game-ending picks that Blue Force had. But to me, I'd give my game ball to Jayden Stanley for captaining that defense and then closing the door on the Vandals. What about you? Anyone come to mind?
No, that's a good pick. I thought he played well all game. That pick six was fun. I was on my feet just cheering him on. But I think Plow and Coach Shelton called Gbatu's number all game, and he showed up, man. They got him on the fake punt reverse, bunch of fly sweeps, bunch of bang posts, bunch of crossing routes, and he just, they mentioned on the broadcast, like, he's not a big guy, right, which we've mentioned on here a lot, but like the guy takes hits and he keeps going, and he doesn't go down easy at all, and he's so fast and shifty, but he's just, he's always falling forward, always getting a bunch of extra yards. And so I just thought he played well all game. I don't even know how many receptions he had. I know he went over 100 again, another touchdown. I think he's 8-9 touchdowns and pretty high up there in the country for number of touchdowns, at least in the Big Sky for sure. And so I thought he played really well. And obviously Caden's getting them the ball, and he played pretty good too. So there's a lot of positives on the offensive side for sure. Ian Simpson probably had his best game of the season, making a lot of plays. Late, was it in the end of the second quarter where they threw him a short crossing route and he hustled his ass off to get out of bounds to even give us a shot at the field goal. So there was that, not to mention the touchdown, which we talked about already. So he played really well. Mitchell Dixon caught a couple balls and trucked some people and got positive yardage. So Stacey Dobbins had a good game. There's a lot of people making plays. And I think, like, we've probably not talked about the offensive line enough, right? But if you got Caden with, there was multiple times where Caden like went flat-footed, right?
Yeah.
And then either got back and got out of the pocket or made a dart or whatever. But that's pretty rare. Like I can only remember like Tom Brady being that comfortable where he was like just statue waiting for guys to come open. So they're doing a good job on pass pro. And then, if Jay Fish is getting 100 yards every week, that means guys are blocking really well. And so those guys just, I think we're pretty close to firing on all cylinders. Always things to clean up, which is scary. And, I think sometimes we pick a little too many nits, but we're like we have like a high bar, and we know that they can go score on every drive. So every time they come away with 3 or 0, we're a little bit bummed or that sort of thing. And, we have it pretty good if we feel like 28 points, maybe 35, 42 is, like we left a lot out there type stuff. So, but yeah, I would say Gbatu just really jumped out to me as being the guy that every time he got the ball was a great play.
Yeah, and I, we had the text start going, and we bleed Aggie pride, we bleed Aggie blue, blue and gold, and so and the standards have been set high, from the top down. I think the guys would say the same, right? And so that's where it comes from. I've put on the text thread, we're gonna win, and I'm pissed. I'm frustrated because I know what we are leaving out there. Right. But at the end of the day, you let the heat subside a little bit. It's a huge win, massive bounce back, and it's a business trip, and the boys are headed home, lick their wounds and heal up and get ready for the next challenge. And so as we get ready to close out, just want to get your thoughts looking ahead. Like, what does this win mean for the rest of the season? Obviously, keeps the playoff hopes alive. But just even from a bigger picture, like what is as you think about the road ahead, you think about what the boys accomplished tonight. What could it mean?
I think the biggest thing that it means is that those guys on the field continued to control their destiny, right? Like they took care of business tonight, which means they get to go to Bozeman next week and beat a team that has really played well versus a lot of like quality opponents. They lost in overtime to South Dakota State. The Bobcats did, and that was the only FCS loss they've had, right? And then South Dakota stumbled a little bit, but still a good team. And so the Aggies get to go to Bozeman next week, and I'm really fired up to be able to be there in the cold next Saturday to watch them go battle, right? And like last year, let's rewind a year ago. Montana State comes to Davis. We come out the gate so slow, and we come all the way back, and we got a onside kick recovery and go down and come up just minutes, seconds short to the team that ultimately played in the national title game. And I just think like we have the opportunity to go do that there, and we learned from last year, we learned from this season. We find that elusive perfect game that you and I have been searching for. We fire on all cylinders. Everybody contributes, and we go pull off the upset, probably upset against the Montana State Bobcats at home. And so they have the ability to control what happens through the rest of the season. Regardless of the result against Montana State, if we take care of business with Sac State, then we figure out where we slot in the playoffs. So if we didn't take care of business today, things would have gotten a lot tougher, right? And you're going on the road in round one instead of getting a round one bye and all that stuff. So every week's got to just be, take care of the opponent in front of you. And not even that. Like Plow talks about in his pregame speeches all the time, and he doesn't care who's across the field. He just says, worry about what we got to do and go execute, go be detailed and disciplined and play fast and play physical and play strong, and the result will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, man. I think about the reset. It's like you get punched in the mouth or you drop a game, and there's always the question, can we reset? Can we respond? And so I'm sure there was incredible belief that was fostered throughout the week. But at the end of the day, you either do or you don't. It either spirals or it stops. And to me, this game is really significant because it was a successful reset. It was a successful response. Imperfect, but a successful response. And, I hope that gives the guys a ton of confidence in each other. I hope it helps their, bonds grow tighter. I loved if you're just joining us, it's just me and Danny. Nick and Brock have family obligations, but last week Nick said something that really stuck with me about how he loved going on those road trips because it's just you and the boys, and it's just us. You got the opposing fans. It's just the crew, and we either live together or we fall together. And they were able to get the job done. And so I think that to me is the significance of this game, because it sets them up to go and do something exactly the same next week, to your point.
Right.
Because listen, anything can happen. We're going to have the Bobcats schemed up. We're going to prepare. We're going to be as healthy as we can, and going to try and play Aggie football. And if we do that, I know Plow says this all the time. If we're doing our thing, we can beat anybody. So I believe that. I know you believe that. And so, yeah, it's exciting to get over this one, man, and learn what we can from it. when the boys get in there tomorrow or Monday, and then shift on over to the Bobcats, and they'll be able to hang out with you and Brock up in Bozeman. So that's going to be exciting. I'll be tuning in from the West, but yeah, man, this game is over. I think that's all that matters, and the Aggies are 7-2, and I think that's where we'll leave it. I hope that you have a wonderful trip, man. Next week, enjoy the cold, enjoy the Aggie faithful that go, and hopefully we'll be enjoying an Aggie victory in Bozeman.
Love it. Yeah, I'm fired up. It was good. Thanks for having me on. And like you said, this week's behind us. They took care of business. They got the dub, and now it's on to the next week. And we'll see how they respond next week. And that's all that's probably the most exciting part, is like, we know what they're capable of, and it's just kind of fun to see them get there and watch them surprise us, and watch Caden make great plays and all those guys make plays. Blue Force be aggressive and fly around. So it's just, man, I'm having so much fun this season. It's great.
Yeah, we're enjoying the process. We're enjoying the journey, and it's better having you and the gang along for the ride, man. So thanks for taking time on a Saturday evening, and we'll see you next time. Until then, go Ags.
Right. Go Ags. See you guys.
All right. See you, Danny.
All right, Dwight. Have a good night, man.
Good night, brother.
See you.